All right, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. Welcome to How You Want to Compete TV, episode 6, with our hosts, Corey, myself, Stacia from Strength and Grace Promotions, and Victoria over here from Fit and Furious. I'm pointing to all the screens like y'all can see us. Anyway, so don't forget, you can always go to YouTube and see our previous episodes since we started doing this. Today, we've got our NPC MidAtlantic Zone Chairman, Gary Udit, with us. Victoria is keeping us on time with managing all the cool swag our sponsors have, and she's got signs today, so we're going to make sure y'all see it coming up. You have 3 chances to win something today, right, Victoria? 3? Okay. But you have to at least say hi in the chat, either on Facebook Live, say hello so that I can make sure that your number is assigned to you, just like we assign numbers at shows, and say hi in the Zoom. If you want to post your questions, please post them in either chat. I'll make sure that Corey has them as we go through this, as well as, let's see what else. Upcoming in the next 2 weeks, we have George Peterson III, De Bull, Classic Physique Olympia Pro coming up on May 2nd, and then we are going back to women's posing on May 9th with a special 2-hour edition with Becky Clausen and Sandy Williams. So today we have Mr. Gary Udit with us. So Corey, Victoria, it is all you ladies while I handle all the tech.
Awesome. Well, we are so excited. Thank you, Gary, for coming. We all said that we're very jealous of Gary's backdrop because it looks gorgeous right now. But the number one question that we have for you today, Gary, to kick everything off, says everyone wants to know is, how will everything going on with the coronavirus affect their national qualifications? That is the number one question they have asked us.
Like everything else going on with this, we're in a mode of reacting to what the government says and decides. So right now, the qualifications that exist, they've been relaxed from other times. It used to be you'd have to be top 2 in an open division in order to qualify for a national event. They relaxed that to be top 5 in a national qualifier back through after January 1st, 2019. So the qualifications have been relaxed, and we're in a state of reaction. So as time goes on, we're hoping that there won't be any more contests canceled, and that top 5 qualification will help a lot of people. And that's for the open national events. When it comes to the Masters national events, things have not changed. It's the same as ever. You simply need to compete at all in an NPC event after January 1st, 2019.
Well, and that leads us into our next question. We had one of our competitors asked if you'll be offering free crossovers to women's bodybuilding from women's physique division in the Masters and Collegiate competition coming up.
We won't be doing it at the national level events yet. Something that I have to clarify that it's something that I'm personally doing for all the events that I promote, all the regional level events. The main drive behind that is that I firmly believe that we can bring that women's bodybuilding division back. It's not something that anyone had something against. It's very simply the fact that people did not compete. And now with Mr. Jake Wood at the head of the Olympia contest, and women's bodybuilding is back in the Olympia, I see it as another division that can come back quickly and in a strong way. So that's why at my regional events, if someone competes as a women's physique competitor, we're giving them a free entry into the women's bodybuilding division.
Awesome. And just a reminder, guys, to make sure that if you want to ask any live questions, make sure you post them in the chat so that we can see them, because all of the questions we're asking so far were all submitted ahead of time. Another question that we have for you, Gary, is since wellness is so new and we were rolling it out in 2020, we have some competitors that were wondering, how is that necessarily going to happen with the qualifications, with the national shows coming up, still needing to do the regional show to qualify to go to nationals for wellness? The new wellness competitors are just trying to figure out how to navigate that situation.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we're going to react to what takes place. Our hope is that way things stand now, that we'll be able to do our regular wellness qualifications, although it'll be people in the top 5 in the open regional events that qualify then for our wellness national events. And at the moment, we're only offering wellness at the national open events. We don't offer it at the Masters Nationals this year, or at the Masters of North America either. Ideally, when we see how the numbers go, and from what I've seen, I'm very positive that the wellness division is going to take off. Then in 21, I can see where they'll probably relax that and start to offer wellness to our Masters divisions also. It was an event that we had, one of our events that we held at the Gold's Gym, one of our posing events. It was a big, huge, fantastic surprise on what the wellness athletes look like, because they all came in. Obviously, they've been watching the website. They've been watching the photos of past contests and all the stuff that J.M. Mannion and Frank Seppi and Adam Jensen, all the stuff they've been putting up in the information. You can tell that people are paying attention to it, because the girls that showed up at that clinic, they really, truly had the wellness look. So it's kind of cool. And I remember texting JM that day. I said, I think you're right. This thing's really going to take off, because it addresses a whole nother body type.
With that, follow-up question is, if somebody is qualified for nationals already in bikini or figure, can they cross over and actually enter the nationals competition in wellness?
No, there are no crossovers at the national events. At the national level events, you pick a division, and that's it. There are no crossovers like there are at the regional events.
Well, I think the question is if this trainer is asking, he has a competitor that's qualified to go to nationals in bikini, can they go to nationals for wellness instead, since they have that national qualification in bikini?
No, they'll need to qualify in the wellness division.
Okay.
Just to kind of make sure that, our ideal goal is that we really draw a distinct line between wellness and bikini. It's a completely different body. As you guys can imagine, at the regional level, who among them has that exact wellness look at the regional level? Not many people. We start to see more of that at the national level. So there are going to be situations where someone wins a regional show, even though they don't have the correct look relative to our criteria. So, it always takes place at the regional level. However, on the national level, what we'll want to do is really maintain that distinct line in the sand between wellness and bikini.
Thanks. I think that's a great answer. So hopefully that answered your question. A couple other questions that we're getting here, kind of changing directions here. This is, I guess, I know your answer. You're going to say it all depends on what the state says. How confident are you that the late summer shows will still take place?
In watching the way that they've been laying it out from the president and to the governors, and the phasing plans that they've been coming up with phase 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D. I'm very confident that something like the North America is going to take place. And the week before that is the Junior USA. I think those two are definitely going to take place. I know that probably some decisions have to be made soon about something like the USA. I'm sure Tamer's looking into that to see what restrictions will be out in that area in Nevada in July. But I think the ones in late August, they're definitely going to take place.
Another question that we're getting from Carmen is, what shows will you personally, Gary, be attending in Europe, and how can we get contact for feedback?
Contact for feedback. People, we're all available on all the social media, on my website, my email's there, my phone number's there. People can text. anytime someone wants feedback, we're always available for that. Relative to Europe, wow, that's a whole nother animal right there. I don't know when that's going to take place or when those restrictions will be lifted. We're working hard on trying to accommodate as many promoters as possible domestically, because so many of our promoters obviously have been stuck in situations where they did not want to cancel and they wanted to postpone. So we're looking to fit everybody in if we can in that time frame that leads into the fall without promoters stepping on each other, because that doesn't make any sense either. So between myself and Tyler and Jim and Rick Bayardi and the rest of the folks that are running the regions, we're working hard with the promoters to try to get their dates set somewhere if we can, without doubling up dates to where they have to wind up fighting for competitors.
Another question that we have, and this one's a little bit different because it's not regarding wellness. This one comes from Jessica. If we nationally qualified in figure in 2019 at one of Gary's regional shows, can we compete in women's physique division at a national show in 2020, especially considering so many regional shows have been canceled?
At the moment they've got to qualify in their specific division. Being reactionary as we are, that may change going forward if we get to a point where more regional level shows have to be canceled or postponed deep into the fall. Then things may change. But at the moment, they've got to qualify in each specific division.
So I think if you guys all heard Gary right, because I see a couple of questions that are asking pretty much the exact same thing. He is telling you that you need to qualify in your division to go on to nationals in that division. Kind of question, just asking from some of the competitors. Obviously, I know you've talked about this at some of your events that we've attended. There's this real sense of a lot of the competitors are just really feeling depressed. What is your best advice to them in terms of, we're all in this together, we'll all get through this, but some of them are just reaching out saying they're just really feeling depressed about the shows being canceled, about this affecting their goals. What can you personally tell them?
I can understand that 110%, because we are people who are, everything about us is based on routine. And now routines are completely out the window. So that screws up everything in our life. And I understand that depression. My friend's got a talk show here in Pittsburgh, and it was the topic yesterday because so many people are having some real situations with that. And on our end, I can tell you that we are keeping it all positive vibes constantly. If a promoter calls in and needs to cancel a show or postpone, then we're working hard with them to do that so that we can accommodate the athletes as we go into the fall. We're keeping a completely positive attitude. I refuse to let this thing drag me down. The large part of that is, as you can imagine, is exercise. Exercise day in and sometimes multiple times through the day, and then working hard to eat right, because as we entered this, I had to have a talk with myself that I was going to stay out of that aisle in the grocery store with the M&Ms and get over to the one with veggies, because next thing you know, I'd be too fat 50. And if anything will create depression, it's that. So it's just working hard on every single day, working on having that positive vibe and looking for ways to get some exercise in and eat right, and know that we don't want these contests to be canceled. That's for sure. We want them up and running. We want the athletes back on stage. We want to be judging bodies and giving feedback and getting out there. Us being here stuck at home, it's no picnic. It's not what we want to do. We want to be out amongst the masses and do what we do, this thing of ours.
Well, and I think let's add some cheer now. Let's do a giveaway. So we're gonna turn it over to Victoria so she can give something away. Maybe that'll add a little cheer here.
Talking about food, let's do our very first giveaway from our sponsor for today, Titan Nutrition. And it's gonna be a 1 pound of chicken flavored collagen roast protein.
Right.
And who is the lucky winner today?
So Victoria, you get to choose from 1 from 42.
39.
39. All right. Stephanie Watson.
Stephanie, yay!
Stephanie, message me your contact information and we will get that to you. I will point out to everyone, the Facebook Live is not posting for some reason. It's just spinning on my end. So we will make sure that this gets posted after to the YouTube channel, as well as pointing out that Corry and I are a little depressed today. Today was supposed to be show day for us. So we're missing the Mid-Atlantic Classic today.
You know, this whole thing is so bizarre, and it snuck up on me one day 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I had this thing under control, good to go, exercising like crazy, eating right. And one morning I woke up and I didn't know what the hell day it was. I mean, I couldn't conjure what day it was. And it scared the hell out of me because I thought, oh, damn, this is not good. Because on a daily basis, obviously, we've got so much going on. We're constantly prepping for a contest, whether it's an athlete or us as promoters or officials. We're constantly getting ready for something and working on the details of it. And you know, I'm calling Tony about something, and we're fine-tuning something constantly, and suddenly that's not happening, and you lose sight of the days. And it hit me that day that, wow, obviously this can be very difficult for some folks. So we've got to stay on top of this and keep the positive vibes day in and day out.
So we have a question coming in from Tanya, and she's asking, what considerations will be given to continued social distancing protocols? Do you foresee the first shows that come about having spectators at them?
We'll go with the flow relative to what the government says. Early on in this whole scenario, there was a time, looking back to the end of March, when things were just starting to kick in and they were starting to shut some things down. And at one point there was a scenario where we could have 150 people or maybe 200 people in a venue at once. So we came up with a plan of attack to accomplish that, to where we would let in people for certain divisions to watch that division, then take a 5-minute break and get them out of there, then bring another couple hundred people and they'd watch the next division, and we were going to accommodate it like that. So there's always a way to make it happen and go by the rules, just by accommodating some things and being proactive. And so we'll have to see what the restrictions are. You know, if they come up with restrictions on the amount of people who can be in attendance, are there any people allowed in attendance? You know, in the pump-up area, what kind of distances do we need between everybody? So we'll be completely cognizant of all that and then deal with it as it comes and determined to make it happen in a healthy fashion.
Well, and I can speak on the aspect of being a promoter myself, is that, you know, Stacia and I joked about, hey, we'll do it outside in an outside venue if we have to. I think all of us are just excited, you know, to have the competitors back and really work with them and make it happen. Are you planning on doing any online posing seminars? This is from an anonymous one. Will there be any upcoming online posing seminars? I can allude to that. In 2 weeks, we're going to have Becky and Sandy doing our women's posing. One question asked, would you be open to doing what the judges are looking for online?
Oh yeah, I mean, those are fantastic ways to stay in contact with everybody and give us a way to continue our support for the competitors. So anytime, you know, you guys want to put that together, if nothing else, I certainly got time in my hands. Beyond waxing cars, there's not a whole hell of a lot going on here. And I get Roman over here and we're washing cars and waxing and wax on, wax off. And my man's, he's getting her education on vehicles. So other than that, yeah, with those posing seminars would be a home run. It's a great idea.
Besides what's going on with the virus, we got another question. Is there anything that we should know about with the NPC? Anything that's changing? Anything positive, new, upcoming that you might want to share with everyone that's listening?
And one of the latest things is that Frank Seppi has gotten elevated to run some more distinct stuff with the NPC. And we popped that up online the other day. If you go to npcnewsonline.com, you'll see the press release on that. Frank, I'd be honest with you, I don't know how Frank does it. He's the multitasker in the entire world, if there ever was one. With what Frank does and coordination with J.M. Mannion and J.M.'s wife, Debbie, Emilio Mannion, and Tyler and Adam Jensen, they keep pushing ahead with more and more social media outlets and stuff to do, so that there's going to be some very specific areas of social media and website stuff for the folks over across the water on an international level, so that they're even easier to see what they have going on and give them the major exposure they need, because obviously we've got so much going on domestically that it's time to split it up. So it's actually some pretty exciting stuff, because those guys work so hard. And Frank, ever since he took it over, the thing just keeps going in leaps and bounds. He must not sleep much, and because he obviously he's got a lot going on, but he does a fantastic job. So that's probably the most exciting thing happening at the moment. And just the fact that I got to tell you, I got the benefit of living here in Pittsburgh, and around Jim and Tyler and JM, and the attitude coming from them. I mean, they call the shots, and their attitude is so positive and upbeat that it's like, hey, something happens, we'll be reactionary. We'll react to the government and do what they say, and we'll find ways to make this happen. And inevitably, we'll come back stronger than ever.
Well, and we have a new competitor. Jennifer is asking, what advice do you have for first-time NPC competitors? Having only done one show in the NGA, the NPC feels like the big leagues.
Well, those are kind words. And I got to tell you, I give a lot of respect to all the other alphabet of organizations that exist. I think the very first thing I always recommend to competitors, and we do this at every seminar that we do, is I always recommend that someone goes and attends an NPC event before they ever compete in one, maybe even before they start to prep for one, because it's such valuable information to go to the show and see the pace of it and see what you need to look like on that stage, how to comport yourself throughout the event. And it's so valuable. A lot of times we'll ask people at the seminar, how many of you are first-time athletes? And all the hands go up. And then I'll say, okay, how many of you have not gone to a show yet? And there's a whole lot of them are hands up, because they're relying on YouTube and social media and websites. And certainly you can learn a lot there, but it doesn't touch being there in person. So I tell folks right away, if you've got time away, please attend an event. You get a ton of information. It may even spur some questions that they didn't realize. They'll see how people make some mistakes, so that then they won't have to make them. So beyond anything, that's the key, is to attend an NPC event first, because my favorite thing to do is brag on folks like Rick Bayardi and Tony Roberts, what they do and the way that they do the backstage and the expediting and on stage. And sometimes that's what sets us aside from other contests, is the fashion that the promoters and expediters and officials have bought into the idea of professionalism first, a close second, efficiency, and making things run in a smooth fashion for the athletes. Where sometimes I'm very, very confident that that's what sets us apart. And when someone goes to attend an event, then they'll see that in action and they'll think, wow, our judges, for instance, are charged with assessing people as soon as they walk on stage. Right away, Big Rod and Teresa, Jimmy Parker, they're down there and they're assessing people right away. What that does is gives us a chance to assess the athlete from the second they walk on to the second they walk off. But then we also don't have to torture them on stage with a lot of multiple call-outs and turns and front and backs. And we give them a good look on stage, but we don't drag it out too much. And that efficiency and professionalism stands out every time. So I hear it from athletes all the time who maybe they may have been to an event somewhere, or maybe even competed in one, and the feedback is, wow, I can't believe how efficient that was. But I still felt like I got a great look. So yeah, I think that's the main thing, is they should attend an event first.
Okay, with that question follows is, are there any changes in criteria coming up that they should be aware of?
No, there are not at the moment, because I think 3 years ago, it's been now, we made some major changes. The NPC changed the criteria on just about every division because if you remember, things had gotten out of hand relative to muscularity and sometimes muscle density and competitive instincts being what they are. The athletes will always push the envelope and they show up bigger and harder, and it's up to the judging panel to keep that reined in so that they meet our criteria. And we didn't. They just kept getting harder. So at some point in time, Jim Mannion and Tyler and JM, and they said, whoa, stop. That's enough. We've got to back this off. Because, for us, it's marketing. We want people in the audience to look up on stage and like what they see, and we want them to think, I kind of like to look like that. And if you got a body up there that's just too hard and way too muscular for that division, then that doesn't work well. So we made some changes. We had every division roll back on muscularity and hardness. Back 3-4 years ago, a girl could win the bikini division with rods running down her hamstrings. Ripped hard. And that's not the case anymore. We want someone to have a nice fit look, but that crazy hardness has gone away. So I think we've reached a pretty good place, and I think now it's up to the judges to do the right thing and continue judging towards the criteria, because we have a certain look, and the main word in that is consistency. We need to be consistent as judges so that the athletes and trainers and coaches know what to expect as they prep somebody for the contest.
As a follow-up to that, we have a question asking, if someone is interested in learning how to judge, how would they get started?
Send an email to me and I'll get it to the right person. For instance, if someone's from the Virginia area, we'll probably get them hooked up with Tony. Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, we'll get them hooked up with Rick Bayardi and say, hey, we kind of have a Q&A, figure out what their intent is. Our rules are that if someone has a team of athletes, they can't perform as a judge. If someone gets people ready from time to time and not a real team and not that kind of number of athletes, then we just ask that, okay, If you got somebody in a contest, you cannot judge any portion of that event. Then once they hook up with Tony or Rick or one of the chairmen, we'll get them a list of the events that take place. They can choose which ones they'd like to test judge. Once they do the test judging procedure, it's a minimum of 3 events, and they have to score a minimum of 80% relative to what the normal scoring was from the judges. I tell people all the time, even if they don't want to be a judge, which is understandable because it's a thankless position. The only person that likes you that night is the winner. Everyone else thinks you're blind. So, but if someone, I invite people all the time to come down and try it because they learn so much being at the judging table as a test judge even. So even if they never want to actually be a judge, maybe come make arrangements to come down and test judge. Because what they'll find out is that we've got 7 or 8 people there who are just trying to accomplish one thing, which is to get it right. They'll find out that there's no conspiracies and no one saying, oh, I don't like that guy, knock him down. These people are, they have high respect for the athletes. And people wind up finding that out. And then, I was at an event in December, and Candace Keene was there. Long-time, fantastic competitor. And she was helping us out with a seminar. And she mentioned that she had gotten involved in judging regional shows. And even though she'd been competing for 13 years, how much she learned by test judging and then judging those events, because she saw people making bad mistakes on stage and made them look less than they could have. And this is someone who was a fantastic competitor from day one and had competed for 12 years, 13 years, and she's still learning things. And she said it was invaluable to go there and be a judge.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's so interesting what you see through the eyes of, when I've been at some of your posing seminars and just listen to you talk about what people do and how they do things differently, it just really opens things up. We've got another giveaway coming up. So Miss Victoria.
Yes,
I love it
thank
when
you
you're
so
dancing
much.
around your signs.
Giveaway time. It's fun time. We're having a lot of issues. A lot of people are having issues connecting to the Zoom or internet. So we're going to have a replay on everything, but questions are just pouring. We have questions coming in nonstop. So this is really exciting. And for the second giveaway, one of our sponsors today is the local family-owned gym of Skylar and Jason. It's called the Shop Gym in Manassas. I'm wearing their beautiful hoodie. It's really warm. So as you know, the gym is also closed because of everything that's going on, but they stepped in and they said, we're going to still support our athletes, even if it's just doing a giveaway. So one lucky person will get an apparel from the Shop Gym.
All right.
How about we let Gary pick a number?
All right, 1 through 50, Gary.
23.
23. All right. Let's see here. Michelle Polk.
Yay!
We know Michelle. Congratulations, Michelle. All right, Corey, back to you.
Congratulations.
Awesome. And Skylar is saying hi. So if you don't know, Skylar is from the Shop Gym. She is our local bikini IFBB pro. So hi, Skylar. Thanks for joining in and thanks for the giveaway. And so the next question actually comes from Skylar. She wants to know, is the Olympia at jeopardy this year?
I have not heard that it is. Knowing Jake Wood, he'll do everything possible to make that thing run if it makes sense. He's that kind of guy. So he will be, as the rest of us are, he'll be at the behest of the government, and that'll go a long way towards determining whether the Olympia takes place or not. But I'm very sure that he's going to try like hell to make that happen.
So a couple other questions that we have coming in is, one of the questions is talking about the DMV show schedule right now. So talking about DC, Maryland, and Virginia as to what is known about it. I think the best thing is probably, Gary, where can they get the updates for that schedule?
Well, the schedule, if you go to my website, GaryUdit.com, you can then click on Maryland or Virginia, or you can go right to what's called the NPC MidAtlantic.com site. And it lists the events as they are scheduled at this point in time. It shows the ones that have been canceled. It shows the ones that have been moved to a different date. So all the pertinent information up to date is right there.
So Ed, let's talk about one of the newer shows that's in there. Very excited about the new Armed Forces Nationals. We've got some questions if you could share a little bit about that. If you guys can see Tony, if you're on Zoom Live, he's very excited. But if you could tell everybody about that, that's very exciting. I come from a military family, so I'm excited to see that.
It really is, been involved in this forever and a day. And so I tend not to get too excited about too many things anymore. However, that Armed Forces National Championships is one that I've been excited about literally for years. I always thought it was a cool event. So cool to give those folks their level of respect for the service they provided for us. The event has been run in the NPC for many years, off and on. It was run in Long Beach for a long time. Then I believe it was run in the Carolinas for a while. And but then it would fall along the wayside. And I came to find out that it had not been run for a number of years. So I talked to my guys, Rick Bayardi and Tony Roberts, and say, what do you guys think about putting this thing with the Battle Royal down in Virginia Beach, which is obviously heavy military. That venue down there is a home run. That Sandler Center is unbelievable. So, and the whole market area there is cool. So we get down to the details of it and decide to make a go of it. The goal being that, this thing hasn't been run for a number of years. So understandably, we'll have to walk before we run. And we're prepared to do that. My impression has been much like the North America. To give you an example, the North America had been canceled twice before I got my hands on it. And I just never thought it was run right. And it took a lot of arm twisting. For anyone who has any idea about arm twisting with Jim Mannion, it's not somewhere you want to go. But I used to give it a shot from time to time. And eventually I said, look, if this thing doesn't work, I'll be the village idiot. It's not on you. But I was convinced I could make it work. The whole goal being to put that thing in one city, one time of the year, relentlessly. So that's what we're going to do with this Armed Forces. The thing has not been run. But we're going to go on the high side of this thing and do it right. I mean, Rick Bayardi, Tony Roberts, myself as the co-promoters, we're down with this. So we're excited. Hoping that everything works out well this year. We'll see what happens. We're scheduled for mid-August. And but one way or another, this thing's going to be very cool at some point in time. No matter what happens this year, our goal is to run it, and hopefully it will. But looking ahead, it's going to be a yearly event, and we've made great contacts with the right folks, and they're excited about it. And we have a vision of just over in that market area with military vehicles everywhere and bodybuilders on top of them and lots of pomp and circumstance and lots of press and, more to the point, tons of respect for these folks who are involved or have been involved in the military. So yeah, I can't wait, man. I'm so excited about this.
We have one question with that. Jennifer is asking for a clarification. Battle Royale and Armed Forces are separate shows, right?
Yeah, they are. With the Battle Royale has been taking place for about 5 years in that Sandler Center, always in mid-August. And that's going to take place, and then 5-minute break, and we'll move right into the Armed Forces Nationals. And so both same day. We'll put them both on Saturday. Check-ins will be on Friday. And work hard to make this. We'll shoehorn it into one day at first until we get to a point where we can't. And then if we have to expand, we will, because we always plan for growth.
Well, and you've definitely excited all of our followers today because they want to know, is the Armed Forces National Show, will there be any pro cards handed out at that show?
No, as you can imagine, this is an event that has not run for, wow, a lot of years. So our goal is to bring it back. And so initially, no, there won't be pro cards involved in this. This is basically our chance to recognize and give exposure to and reward folks in the military with national championships of their own. So that's our goal first and foremost. Looking down the road, who knows? I mean, if the numbers ever turn out to be way cool and the quality, and who knows, maybe something like that can be expanded. But for right now, it's just our way to give back to the military folks.
And how do they qualify to compete at it?
They only need to have competed in an NPC event. That's it. We'll make it very, very simple. And, we're looking for inclusion here. We're not looking to put up barriers. We want to open doors. So we'd like to see as many people involved there as possible. They won't regret it.
So moving on from that, we have a next question, which I think this question is going to entail quite a long discussion. How important is a coach in your mind?
I think it depends on someone's ability to know their body. A coach can be a huge benefit. Wow. I mean, especially for people who haven't been at this a long time. I mean, I personally don't think there's anything more difficult than that first prep for a contest. I tell people all the time, to some of those who are true novices, I go, this is the most difficult thing you will ever do. Because that whole idea of trying to figure out how much cardio, what kind of nutrition, what kind of training, what do I do? Now that you've chosen a division, now you have to train for a look. It's not just training to the wall. Now you got to train for a look and eat for a look, and it's difficult. So I think especially in the early stages, a coach is really important because they can direct you along the way and keep you from making some of those mistakes that we all made at one point in time. We didn't have coaches way back when. We just made mistakes, and a coach now can keep you from making those same mistakes. It can be cool. And then as time goes on and you learn your body, the single thing I tell people more often than that, people, they contact me relentlessly and they go, I need a coach, or I need a new coach. I've had one, I need a new one. Who do you recommend? The list is long. There's some great coaches out there on the regional level, national pro level. Fantastic. But they've all had someone lead them for someone that they thought had a better mousetrap. And it's not personal. It's just maybe something, maybe the athlete thinks that they can do better. And so the single thing I tell people is I said, as you choose a coach, don't forget you're the one that knows your body. Your coach will have experience from years gone by that worked on a myriad of competitors. And they'd like to try some of those methods on you. but you must be your own advocate. You know your body better than anyone, hands down. So if a coach, as good as he or she may be, suggests that you take in white potatoes, and you know full well that that does not work for your body, you've got to say, hey, with all due respect, that doesn't work for me. I've got to stick to a different type of carb. So, yeah, coaches are valuable. They're a huge part of our sport. I mean, they drive athletes to the events, and I try to get their input as much as possible, especially at the seminars we've been doing. We do a separate coaches trainers portion of it called Train the Trainers, and we try to make it very clear that, hey, I'm not looking to train you on how to train people. You're already good at that. What I want you to know is what we want to see on stage, so that you know even better what the judges are looking for. And in return, they've given us tons of feedback. You know, the coaches, trainers are the ones that came up with the idea of the shorter break between prejudging and finals for us. Because I said to them, I was talking to Luis and Frank, and say, what would help your athletes? How can I make their day better on contest day? And they said a shorter gap. Instead of prejudging at 10, get done at noon, finals at 6 or 7, they go a shorter gap. And I go, okay, so how about if we go to a 2-hour gap or 3 home run? So we've done that. And we do it at all of our shows. And haven't mandated it across the board, but I've suggested it to folks that this is a home run because it's good for the coaches, good for the athletes. That shorter break works. They're out of the venue by 5 o'clock, 5:30 in a restaurant when they're still open. It's a good idea. So the coaches, they give us great feedback on stuff. So yeah, having a coach is a home run idea. There's a caveat to that though, and maybe this is going to come up, is the team concept. Teams can be great, and you want to be on a team. The team can create so much support for you. You know, maybe you're having a tough time getting through your prep, and you need someone to vent to or talk to. Give a call to your team member. It can be really cool. However, there's thoughts out there that sometimes you need to be on a team to do well, because the judges know of certain teams, like, hey, that XYZ team, they're always good. And man, we really like that guy who runs it, so they're going to get a break. And that's not the case. I can tell you that our judges have no clue who's on what team. They don't care. They don't have time to know. And so that's the one thing that I would put out there, is that being on a team is a great idea for the support system. However, it won't create an automatic better placing for you.
Well, and that leads perfectly into our next question, because our next question was, how does judging actually work? Is it based on a point system?
Yeah, it's actually really simple, very simple. We generally run with 5 judges and a head judge. And as you come out on stage and you get compared, the judges have in front of them a piece of paper with the list of people in that. So let's say it's the bikini A division, and there are 12 girls in it. So the numbers from number 1 through 12 are listed there, and their names are not listed, simply their competitor number. So then we bring you out on stage, and the judges need to decide which person is the best, and they get a number 1 next to their number. And then who's the second best, and if that's number 5, they get a 2 next to their number. And then those things get handed into our computer score. Who's got the computer scoring system right there at the laptop. They punch in the numbers. The computer automatically throws out the high scores and low scores. So that let's say someone's on stage and 4 judges have someone in second place and somebody's got a judge in 7th. Someone's got that person in 7th place. For whatever reason, maybe the way they saw it, whatever it is, they had them in 7th. The high score and the low score get thrown out. So one of the second places and the 7th place gets thrown out, and you have 3 2s. And that's how it's calculated, and by the computer. And then once it's done by the computer, he then checks the score. He or she checks the scores for validity. Then it goes to the head judge, and they check the scores. And pretty simple stuff, actually. Very straightforward. I've heard so many times someone will say, hey, you know, I was, after the fact, they'll send me an email and say, you know, I was on stage and there were 5 people on stage and I was in the middle the whole time. Why didn't I win? And I go, well, being in the middle means nothing. It just means you were being compared against those other people. So people think their placing on stage has a lot to do with how they're being judged, and it's simply not the case. So put that aside.
We are going to do a giveaway, and then we have one big final question for you. So Victoria, let's do that last giveaway, and then we'll give Gary this last big question.
Perfect. Excellent. A lot of great information. I'm taking a lot of notes in case we get more questions added after the webinar. Our last sponsor for today is a person and a company with a great heart. They're just being so given. In this time of need, Rebecca Biddle from BB Custom Suits went from making suits into making masks to help to protect people, and she's been doing it. She's been doing it all for free, and people are just donating money. So she's been working nonstop. But she's also participating in giveaway and giving a gift card for a posing suit for men or women. Anything that you guys want to use it for, and it will be valid for this year and next year. So who's going to be our winner for today?
1 through 49. That's your numbers to pick from.
13.
Oh, we love 13. That's one of our numbers. Let's see here. Go down, and that would be Jessica Falburn. So Jessica.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah. Okay, Corey.
Okay, so this last question. So first of all, let me just tell you, Gary, everybody is putting in the chat how much they love the Mid-Atlantic Zone. They love how the shows are run. You know, they enjoy being at all the events, just everything from the expediters to the judging to the promoters. They're just saying thank you.
That's appreciated. I give all accolades to the people who have bought into our system. About 10 years ago now, I sat down with Rick Bayardi, and I said, because we had it together, obviously, in Pittsburgh, with Jim's Pittsburgh Championships, and with the Masters in the North America, we had fine-tuned everything perfectly. And I said, we need to take this across the zone, and everything should be uniform. So we did, one state at a time. And we have definitely, I'll brag on them every day of the week, we have the best zone there is, thanks to the promoters who have bought into our system. There was a lot of pushback in the early stages. No one obviously wants to change their way. And I kept saying, look, this works for Jim Mannion's contest. And it works for the North America, where there are 1,500 athletes. I guarantee this will work for you. And then they all wind up buying into it, which is cool. And the officials came on board, and we kept pushing them. The expediting crews, you know, Tony Roberts is a great example. I mean, when we first met Tony in Maryland, I'm not kidding you, he was doing 7 jobs at a contest because he could and because he didn't feel comfortable delegating. And on our drive back up Route 70 that night at 3 in the morning, and Ricky and I are assessing things, and I go, so what are we going to do with this guy? He goes, well, he does everything. And I go, yeah, I know. He's got to do one thing and do it great. And then we've got to train other people. And Tony bought into that. And obviously, has just elevated himself to the best in the world at what he does. But it's lucky for us that the officials bought into it. And then the judges bought into it, because we kept pushing the judges on judging more efficiently, more professionally, pushing the envelope. And I know there was pushback, and some of them were pissed off. And right up until they judged their first national show. And then they realized all we were doing was getting them ready for the next level. And some of them came up and said, oh, now I know. Now I see why you did that. So that's our goal at MidAtlantic Zone, frankly, is to get not only competitors, but judges and officials prepared for the next level. And all credit to them. They bought into it, and they've done a great job. So they get all credit for that MidAtlantic Zone being what it is.
Oh, well, and we as promoters in the Mid-Atlantic Zone, it is just amazing. And we love being there for all the athletes and all of the team that we get to work with. One final question, and Crosby, I haven't forgotten you. So this is the one that was specific to a division. The official look for men's physique. Some judges like size and others are big on conditioning. What is your take when it comes to men's physique?
It's between bikini and men's physique, 1 and 1A, relative to which one's most popular in our organization. Because, and we market the hell out of it, because those guys have a great look. There's a GQ with a little bit of muscle, and it's filled a void for a lot of guys who they either did not want to get big and dense, or they simply could not. So men's physique is a fantastic division. But my point is this: we had to roll back a couple of years ago with the amount of density, because they were one of the groups that they kept showing up bigger and bigger and way bigger. So we rolled it back to maintain the integrity of the division and the criteria of that, so that we definitely want them conditioned, highly conditioned. You got to be in shape. Judges are looking down the lineup, and if you're not in great shape, great condition, you get passed by really fast. So you've got to be in great shape. What you don't want to do is be overly muscular relative to density. If you walk out and someone says, that's a bodybuilder, then it's not a good day, because it's not that much density for the men's physique division. That's why we created the men's classic physique division, because then a guy with more density, get a pair of those black shorts, learn the poses, and it gives you another place to go. So the conditioning, though, is preeminent. Please be in shape. Then you have great shape, and then fine-tune the hell out of that presentation, because it's everything.
Wow. And something I always hear Gary say is, help us pick you. So real quickly, we just want to say thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Titan Nutrition, the Shop Gym, and BB Custom Suits. For all of you that are tuning in, if you could please tag them, share them. They are helping us bring this to you every single weekend, so we are grateful for them. And Gary, as we wrap this up, any final words to all of our competitors? We've got competitors, judges, promoters, and athletes that have all tuned in live to watch this. So what are your final comments for them?
Coming from here in Pittsburgh, we're the home of the NPC. We are on a positive wave through this thing. We are determined to remain positive about this. Don't let it get you down. It's going to come back at some point. We're going to be up there judging you guys again. You're going to be backstage pumping up. we can't wait. You know, this is not a break for us. We don't like this. So please get out there, exercise, find a way to get some exercise in, keep that positive vibe. You know, I'd like to give a shout out to our promoters. They have taken this thing to the next level in the last couple of years. That is just way, way cool. You know, Luis Santa and his wife come on board as promoters, and they are killing it. So cool to see that different vibe at the shows. The folks down at the shop gym, Skylar and Jason, Todd, they're down there killing it. The stuff they come up with has pushed the envelope and putting everyone on notice that, hey, you got to ramp it up. You know, our stalwarts like the ladies from Woodbridge area doing a fantastic job down in those events. Rich Siegelman, incredible. We've got you know, the magnificent Linda Murray involved. So just a shout out to those people who've come on board, and they've all pushed the envelope. It's so cool to see. I mean, it's difficult to get someone to do that. You know, they come to it on their own. I asked Luis if he wanted to be involved, and they jumped on it, and him and Yolanda, and they're killing it. And the folks at the body shop, and it winds up being extremely exciting for us, because I can tell you from traveling the country and traveling the world, it's not always like that. We are very, very lucky here at the Mid-Atlantic Zone. So thank you so much for giving me the time today. I certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, we're grateful to have you. Stacia's going to give us an update too of what's coming up.
Yes, thank you, Gary. We love being able to catch up and hear what's going on in Pittsburgh, as well as extending out into the Mid-Atlantic Zone. We have on May 2nd, George Peterson III, the bull, he's coming over doing classic physique up to the 212 range, I think is what we're going to be doing. And then on May 9th, we're going to have a 2-hour session. Ladies, come back to do posing, because Becky Clausen and Sandy Williams will be here with us, along with several IFBB pros, to go over posing for each division. So not just bikini or figure, we're going to do wellness and women's physique, and maybe delve into women's bodybuilding as well. So again, everyone, thank you for joining us. I will have the YouTube posted this evening. Sorry about the Facebook Live. Technology wanted to be a little bit gremlin-y today. So we will see everybody again next week. So thank you guys. Stay safe and keep working out.
Thank you. Bye.
See you guys.